session. And this is a new series that I'm starting to ensure that you're well versed and continue the practice for data science. And so that is really the goal, to have really weekly sessions in a very structured way so that you get to practice a lot. When I'm going to go live every week, Tuesday or Thursday, 11 a.m. to 12 noon or 2 p.m. to 3 p.m., depending on what time I have available. But more or less in the future, it's going to be more streamlined and it's going to come in more predictable times. So that is the what and when. And why am I doing this? I'm doing this because there's a shortage of data science skills in the industry, and I intend to ensure that everybody practices really well to be on top of the game. And then also data science needs a lot of practice, and if you are learning data science from different courses, you understand that practicing alone is not going to cut it, right? If you have somebody guiding you on how to practice, what to do, what next to take up, and guide you with small little details, that is going to help you sort of ensure that you're practicing really well and effectively practicing to build confidence. Again, there is lack of dedicated personal guidance. Everybody walks in a very different path and is really doing different stuff, and their journey is different. And so a little bit of personal guidance, I believe, is going to work magic for anybody who's learning data science. And in the inspiration to go on is what I'm trying to give through these sessions. So welcome to the first of these series. This is going to be just setting the stage and setting the environment for you to continue the practice. And I'm going to use certain data sets or certain problem statements for the practice session, but you're welcome to use any other problem statements that you feel that you want to practice on. So that's the why part of it. And really the mission is to inspire 1 million data science aspirants, be it non-coders, students, or people who want to switch career to get a job or internship in data science by 2025. So that's really my mission, and some of the principles that I'm going to be following to ensure that these things happen is I'm going to learn consistently during these practice sessions. So you're going to see me exploring, failing, learning, all of that, and I'm going to keep the sessions as raw as possible. Then I'm going to get the best parts of it and teach it back in various different forms of courses or YouTube videos. I'm going to embrace a non-linear method of learning instead of having a straight path of how you should learn. I'm just going to be jumping over different aspects so that you get a good exposure of different aspects of how you should be learning data science. I'm going to be repetitive in nature. I'm going to embrace failure, and I'm also going to work on cohort learning, where we can all come together to learn and be a part of something, good practice sessions that are really effective for you to improve your data science skills and also be confident during your interviews. So yeah, that's my mission. So let's get started with the setup and the problem statements. That's going to be the foundation of whatever we do for all the coming weeks to come. So the setup and problem statements are going to be something like this. I have a certain amount of problem statements available with me. They are these kind of problem statements. There's job change probability, bank, customer targeting, give me some credit, don't get kicked, and customer churn. And I've indexed them from, I've sort of sourced them from Analytics Vidhya, UCI, and Kaggle with different difficulty levels from beginner level to advanced level. So while I'm practicing or trying to apply certain data science techniques, I don't miss out on, not solving complicated problems or not solving complex problem. Right now it is at a beginner level. As we move, we're going to add complexity to it, and get on more challenging problems to solve. But let's start off with this 5. You're open to pick any other 5 that you feel that you want to practice on depending on your level. For now, you can start off with this 5. If you don't know where to start off, you can just begin with this. Also, another thing, if you really want to be a part of this journey and want to be consistently reminded, I'm going to place a link below on a course that I've created on my website, where I'll place all these videos in a structured manner with all the content week on week, so that everything is curated and put in place, and you will have access to it, and you'll have email reminders, and all of that thing is going to be there. I'll provide the link below so you can register for it. So now that we have all of that in the way, first let's look at what the setup and the GitHub will look like, right? So for the setup, you need a folder structure. You need to have an index file such as this. You need to ensure that you have a lot of these Excel file that maintains what kind of problem statements you're solving, what's the priority, and just basic elements, so that you're consistently coming back to the similar problems and solving it, right? Often what happens is, if you solve in random locations, you're going to forget that that place ever existed, and you're going to lose the moment of how you practice. So setting up the folder structure is going to be really essential, along with the index file like I have. I'm going to share this with you so that you're going to have a initial starter pack for you to work with. Similarly, you need problem statements, and I have broken down into 5 problem statements for this particular weekly sessions, and there can be 100 other problem statements added to this particular list, and each problem statement will then have their input and output, where the input data set and outputs that you produce will be placed. So if you go back to the structure that is there, I have sort of this problem statement. I have inputs where I have the train and test data sets for these computations. Output is a sample submission file, but any other outputs that you get here will come back here, and so it keeps you able to track what outputs you have. And then you have any data dictionary or any other details that you want, or any other Excel files that you're doing EDO on top of, can be here. Or if you're making any other presentations also, they can be in this particular folder. But broadly, let's keep this folder structure to this particular level, and then we are going to continue to maintain this unless something else comes up. So yeah, that's really the aspect of the folder setup. Now I've divided that into these stages that is there. And what are these stages? Let me give it to you. Give it to you. So the stages that I'm working with is going to be, it's the CRISP DM process. It's called the cross industry standard process for data mining, where there's business understanding, data preparation, modeling, evaluation, and deployment. So I'm going to follow that process to ensure that the real good data science project management processes are imbibed while you're doing practice. And so when it becomes second nature, when you go and start applying it in companies. And so I'm keeping it in those stages so that we remember the stages, we follow the process, and as the more often we do it, the more practice we will be having in implementing those steps and really applying it. So that's the structure that we have. So what you really want to do is just go to create a folder and then add these folders with each step mentioned. Setup, business understanding, data preparation, modeling, evaluation, and deployment, right? So you just add these folders. And then second, you have this problem statements, which I'm just going to now take from here, and I'm going to go back to the Python and put it into the setup folder here, where all of these problem statements now exist. So this is the folder that we created, the setup folder. We have all the problem statements here. That is, all the problem statements are available with each input and output. And then we also have the other steps that we are going to use to follow for this particular thing, right? So once that is there, let's now take this and ensure that we are uploading it to GitHub, and then we have a version control so that your desktop, all the work that you do on your desktop is backed up permanently on GitHub, and you can sort of get back the work or collaborate with others if you plan to do so. So for that, I'm going to use GitHub Desktop. And I'm going to sort of create a new repository. So in case you don't have GitHub, GitHub Desktop, I suggest you install GitHub Desktop. It is there for both Windows and Mac, and you also need to have a GitHub account to be able to do this. So once you have all of that, you should be able to set it up. So first, I'm going to begin by creating a new repository, and I'm going to call this as data science practice session, and I'm going to place this in the folder that I'm going to be working with. So it's going to be under this data science practice, and I'm going to put this something like this name here, and I'm going to sort of select a folder. So I already created this, so it might not be occurring with it, but let's rename this to something else. Yeah, so I'm going to call it as one Python. Let's put it within this particular folder, right? Yeah, so let's create a folder. I'm going to call this as one Python. Yeah, so I'm going to store everything within this. I just copy the contents of that within this folder and then back it up. So I'm going to select that folder. So all the contents of this repository will exist within that folder, and let's see how we're going to do that. I'm going to initialize a README file. Git ignore, I'm going to put a Python one. And then license, I'm just going to leave it. So I'm just going to create a repository. Data science practice session. Yeah. So this repository is created on my folder now here. And we're going to now put some content within it, right? So I'm just going to take all of this content that I have here, I'm going to cut it, and then I'm going to place it within this folder where it's creating through GitHub, right? So it comes to this point, and what you will see now is that all of this structure or the content that we have is added, and we can now, just say setup files added, and then commit to main. So we are committing to the main file structure, and then we are going to now publish this repository. And I'm not going to keep it private. You can take this code and sort of set it up or just fork this and use it. So I'm going to publish this repository. So once I do that, ideally it should be available on your GitHub profile, such as this. So DS practice session, and it should be available with something like this. Let's see if our file structure has come up. Okay, so we have now sort of put it there, and it should be showing up somewhere here. Let's see if, yes, so our folders have been uploaded. You'll see our setup folder is there where our data sets are available, all of this. The rest of the folders are not yet synced, but as you put content within it, they will start syncing. So that's how the setup session the setup looks like, guys, where we basically have a folder structure. Now I'm going to go back and delete these. And this is now linked to GitHub. Even if you don't link to GitHub, you can simply have it the way that I have it here in the same folder structure. You can download it from this GitHub repository. I'll provide this link. It's called github.com/kunalnayak/ds practice session, and you can have all of the files that are available here, right? So once the folder structure is set up, what next, right? It might be like, that you want to like straight away go into coding and do a lot of these things, but it's better we start off with a basic import of data and then write a code that just imports the data and we look at it, right? Because remember, we need to begin with business understanding first, what we need to do with each of the problem statements. And so that will be the logical next step to do as per the CRISP DM process. And so in the next session, what we'll do is we'll briefly touch upon all of these 5 problem statements and understand what we're trying to do there, or maybe 1 or 2, and then we can come back to business understanding back again with some other problem statements. But with this business understanding, we are going to be beginning with this particular case in this particular scenario. So yeah, I'm just so let's start off with that particular practice where we're just looking at some of the business understanding and then capture those within this particular notes, or however you want to capture it. So business understanding, I'm just going to create a mind map like this where we can do the business understanding part. So let's look at what we need to do. Within the setup, we have different problem statements to tackle. One is the job change probability, right? So I'm going to put that here. One job change probability, right? And then similarly, in fact, I'm just going to copy this entire folder so it's easier. Okay, this is for me to show you what I'm doing, and so you need not do this. You can maintain this in Excel. And let's look at, give me some credit also. Now I've marked the domain along with it, so you get an idea of which domain it is in. Some of them are cross domains, but that's okay. And then we have the 5th one. Let's briefly see what we are trying to solve. Typically, all of them will be a classification problem statements. And so let's see what is the business. And then we're going to just briefly touch upon. We're going to go in details while we enter the data understanding and business understanding phase in the next session. But once we've set it up, let's understand what we need to do with these problem statements. Okay, so I'm just going to go back here and look at the input and look at, first let's look at the data dictionary here. Okay, so this is the data dictionary for this particular problem statement. I'm just going to place it like this. Place it like this, and let's place it here. I'm just going to align this so that we can see half of this page like this and the other half like this. Okay, so on this, the job change probability, we have the variable description available. There is enrollee ID, city. Let me just expand this a little bit. city development index, this gender, relevant experience, enroll university, major discipline, company size type, and there's target. So our Y is going to be target as per this particular data set statement. And what are we trying to solve, right? We are trying to solve for not looking for a change and looking for a job change, right? So the job change probability is what we're looking for. So we have, employees with demographics and job details, let's say. And our job is obviously to predict job change probability. The target is this one. 0 is going to be not looking for a change, and 1 is going to be looking for a job change. So that's what we understood. We have employees with demographic and job details as your x variables or the dependent variables, and then we have employees with demographics and job details to help us predict this target, right? So that's the problem statement that we have for job change probability. This one has probably, let's say, how many of them, excluding the IDs, we have roughly 12 features, right? So this one, there are 12 features, 12 of those features. So definitely a smaller, lightweight problem statement we have. And we have this target variable along with it. So yeah, that's it for, that's a brief business understanding for this. We are going to maintain a similar structure for all of them here. So I'm just going to copy and paste it here and ensure that, sorry, I'm just going to Control Z. I'm going to remove these two and this two, and then paste this as the structure that will maintain. So you can maintain the same thing within an Excel file where you take the name and then you put your Y and then put all the variable names if you have to. I will be doing that in the next section where I'm putting all of these variables and maintaining it, so that it's going to be easy to sort of maintain track and also add notes, so that you sort of build a repository of knowledge of all the practice that you're doing, and it's not forgotten, right? If you practice something and you don't capture the details, you might end up forgetting it. But we are going to ensure that we're going to capture these details in a systematic way. And so if you can note all of this down in an Excel file, which we will see in the next session, it's going to be absolutely essential and helpful for you. Okay, so let's do one more of this, and through next sessions, what you want to do is, as a call to action, you have to go through all of these problem statements and not only just briefly understand the problem statements, but just understand each of them enough to be coming to the next session and sort of working with it. So I'm going to open another data dictionary for the bank customer statements, and let's see how it's going to be for this. Okay, so this is the same data dictionary that I have earlier, so I can go back to this problem statement and get the data dictionary from there. Okay, it's not loading. So let's see. Yeah, so there is this data set that I have here. Yeah. So this is that bank churn data set, and we have those details available here, which I'm going to copy and then place it within this file here. So I'm just going to take this data dictionary file here and then paste it here. Yeah. Okay, so let me just place this here. I'm going to go to that place and copy it and place it. I'm just going to place it in another sheet. Yeah, let's expand this a little bit. Yes, again. So we have again a data dictionary that we have here. So all we need to do is again go and capture the target. So first the target is, why has the client subscribed to the term deposit, yes or no, right? So yes, it is subscribe to term deposit. No, did not subscribe. Yeah, that's the target. And then X, we have demographics, some communication details, campaign details. Yeah, so we on as X variables we have customer demographics, and marketing campaign details. There are some other things also, but yeah, typically we have this, and then we have 20 different features for each of these records. Yeah, so yeah, 20 different records we have, features. So 20 features, slightly more number of features than the previous one, but yeah, so far good problem statements for us to work with. And we're trying to do more of this classification problems, and so what you need to do is capture the details like this for all of these problem statements and have the variable names and all of that within a location in an Excel file, which we'll see in the next session. And then we're going to continue build from that based on the crisp payment process. So as of now, we are, we have sort of set up the problem statement, the structure that we need to set up. The problem statement is going to be something like this, right? It's we have sort of set it up. We're using the Christian method. As per this method, we need to do business understanding. We have done a brief amount of business understanding first. We will go details into the business understanding of these problems statements in the next weekly session, and we'll continue to move in this direction, and we may spend time depending on how we are practicing or what we are practicing. So yeah, that's all for this particular week's, guys. We're going to have like maybe a 30 minutes to 1 hour session depending on what practice we are doing, and have it every week till you have enough practice, or you have gained enough practice and confidence for doing this. So thanks for joining in, guys. I'm going to place links of you joining in this course and getting hooked on to this particular practice sessions every week in the description section below. So join that group and join that course and receive emails and be connected with this practice session. Thank you again, guys. See you in the next session, either on a Tuesday or a Thursday, 11 a.m. to 12 noon and 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. So if you join that course, you will get notified whenever I go live. That's it. See you in the next session.